Every once in a while, we like to get away from politics and focus on people who really make a difference. And Sergeant Elizabeth Gessel is one of those people. She's a combat vet who served in Iraq and Kuwait and even worked at an Iraqi prison overseeing 500 prisoners. The U.S. Army awarded her medals for exemplary service while she was over there. And now back here, Rockland County has presented her with its annual Freedom Award. It's given out every March during Women's History Month. RFL senior political producer Karen McBride caught up with Sergeant Gessel at the VFW post in Nyack, where she's the commander.
Liz, when you were deployed, your daughter was 7 months old. How difficult was that for you?
The hardest part was realizing that I wasn't going to see the first word, I wasn't going to see the first steps, I wasn't going to see her crawl. That was the hardest part for me, and at the end of the day, I was more thankful that only I was really going to suffer from not being home as opposed to her, because she'll never really remember me not being there, at least not consciously. I mean, subconsciously, maybe she knows that something was missing when she was an infant, but I'd rather me have to deal with that burden than her. But it took me a long time to get to that place.
And when you returned, Victoria was 18 months old, and you said she didn't recognize you.
No, she actually, and for a while I tried to blame it on the fact that I was in a uniform. She actually looked at me and turned around and ran away. Like, had no clue who I was at all.
And how did you deal with that?
It took, I'm going to say it probably took about 6 months for her to get as close to me as I thought she should be as a mother. But we've gotten much closer over the years, and at this point we're like thick as thieves. You know, we're like best friends. It's just awesome. So, but it definitely took a while to get her to accept me as, you know, a big staple in her life.
Talk about your role in Iraq, what you were doing in the prison.
As military police officers, we did corrections duties in 2 different facilities, one in Diwania and one in Qasr. The prison in Diwania was an Iraqi prison where we were training Iraqi corrections officers how to properly care for prisoners. And then in Qasr, it was a crimes against coalition prison where it was a prisoner of war camp. It was definitely interesting and at times very challenging.
There must have been some moments there that were awkward, or talk about some of those challenges.
Well, given the way that the men of that area look at women, it was very difficult for me to have any sort of respect. They looked at me as an object originally, you know, something that they wanted something specific from. And I stopped letting them look at me that way by enforcing my authority.
And what is your best memory of your time there?
Oh gosh. The camaraderie, it has to be. It's, I mean, nobody really wants to be in that situation, but if you're going to be in that situation, you want to have people that you trust and people that you love and care about surrounding you, knowing that they're going to keep you safe and that you're going to keep them safe.
And what is your worst memory?
Leaving Victoria. Just that whole, you know, it's like, you can't even put it into words. It's just, that was by far the hardest thing I had to do ever in my life.
Liz, you talked about the camaraderie. What was it like coming back, transitioning to civilian life without your fellow soldiers? You know,
you get into a mindset when you're deployed, and you have, you know, we have our verbiage and our acronyms and everything, and we have our behaviors, and it's hard to transition back because those behaviors and those acronyms and those ways of looking at things don't, they're not normal to civilians. Like, you know, I have a hard time walking across grass still because, you know, the Army teaches you, you can't walk across the grass. I still can't walk across the grass. There are certain triggers, like, you know, obviously you're aware of all the issues we have with IEDs overseas and everything. I can't run over a plastic bag in the street because I'm just subconsciously I'm afraid it's gonna explode. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's just some of the little things that are hard to, get acclimated again.
Well, Rockland County certainly has recognized your efforts, both overseas and here. What does the Freedom Award mean to you?
Well, the Freedom Award tells me that obviously my service overseas is appreciated, but also that my service to veterans and veterans organizations after coming home is appreciated, and that means a lot. It's our generation's turn to step in and make sure that we let other veterans know what they're eligible for, what advantages there are to being a veteran. Local programs where they can get discounts, or work with the VA, see what they're entitled to there, and it's important that they all know what's available to them.
Do you think we do enough for our veterans? If you could wave your magic wand, what would you wish for?
If I could wave my magic wand, oh, that's tough. There's so many more things that I would think that we should do for our veterans. I would love to fix the VA. The amount of time that it takes for a veteran once they file a claim for disability, compensation, etc., it's too long. And these veterans are, in the amount of time that they're waiting for this disability compensation, or for the status of their claim to change from, gathering of evidence to decision being made, people are dying.
And Liz, you're very confident, you're very determined. What advice would you share with young women maybe considering a career in the military?
Nobody can ever prevent you from doing what you want to do. And nobody can ever hold you down. And as long as you want it bad enough, you can do it. That's all there is to it.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today, and best to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Up next, our Hudson Valley headlines. Stay with us.